See, Shalom says Most High Christ bless. Everybody type Y if y'all can hear and see me. Brother Sam, you scribing? Okay, all praises, all praises. Blessing up prayers. Holy Father, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, Father, we come before you, O Lord, Father, thanking you for all things, Father. Lord, we ask you to have mercy upon us, Father, this captivity, Father. Have mercy upon us, Father, and forgive us of our iniquity, as we forgive our brothers and sisters who sin against us, O Lord God. Build us up and strengthen us, O Heavenly Father. Reveal to us new things in your scriptures, Father, that we may understand and behold it, O Lord God. Keep us in the spirit of your Son, Jesus the Christ, O Lord God. Help us walk according to your scriptures, Father, and your commandments. Lord, we also ask that you protect us from this captivity, Father. Send in more laborers, O Lord God. The harvest is plenty, Father, but the laborers are few. Lord, we pray that you send in sincere brothers and sisters, O Lord God, to do this work with Heavenly Father. Protect our leadership, Father, and keep on giving them more and more understanding, Father, and you feed to us. These things we ask in your Son, Jesus the Christ, Father. We say hallelujah, hallelujah, amen. All right, so we left off. Shalom, Brother Adam, Most High Christ bless. We left off in 1 Samuel chapter 7. So just a quick recap. Quick recap of what we read so far. In the beginning of the book of Samuel, it was dealing with Elkanah and his wife Hannah. She couldn't get pregnant. The Lord was able to. The Lord granted them a petition, and she got pregnant with Eli. Not Eli. She got pregnant with Samuel, and then Samuel was raised by Eli. The Lord also blessed her with more sons and daughters. Also, as you continue, it says that the sons of Eli were wicked. Their names was Hophni. Hophni, and the other one's name was I believe it was Phineas. Let me take a look. Yeah, Hophni and Phineas. The Lord ended up putting them to death. Eli, he wasn't judging what his sons were doing. He knew exactly what was going on with his sons, and he just ignored it. The Lord ended up judging him and his two sons, and the ark of the Lord was taken. When the ark of the Lord was taken, when Eli heard the news, he dropped dead himself. They put the ark of the Lord into the house of Dagon, and the Lord was vexing that idol. He cut off the hands to the threshold, cut off the head to the threshold, and he will have the idol Dagon bow in subjection to the ark. So they end up being vexed also with emirates, which is a sickness. When you understand what emirates is referring to hemorrhoids. He smote the 5 cities of the Philistines with those things, with different plagues. He also put a lot in the death. So the Philistines, after getting jacked up for a period of time, they sent the ark of the Lord back to Israel. So we picking up in chapter 7, verse 1. Brother Samuel only scribed the precepts. We're just going to go through and read the history. Go ahead.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1. And the men of Kirjath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord.
So It says, and the men of Kiriath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord. Let's get some history on the land of Kiriath Jearim. Let's go to Joshua chapter 15. Joshua chapter 15, and let's go to verse 60.
Joshua chapter 15, verse 60. Kirjath Baal, which is Kirjath Jearim, and Reba, two cities with their villages. In the wilderness, Betharaba.
So it's referring to that same city that we just read in Samuel. Let's see who this land belonged to. Let's jump to verse 63.
Verse 63. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Judah, the children of Judah could not drive them out.
So it's giving us the details on the land of the children of Judah. So Kiriath Jearim is one of the lands of the children of Judah. All right, let's go back. And also just be mindful. Let's go back to Joshua real quick. I'll show y'all something. Try to be mindful of something also. Let's get Joshua 18, verse 14.
Joshua chapter 18, verse 14. And the border was drawn thence, and compassed the corner of the sea southward, from the hill that lieth before Bethoron southward. And the goings out thereof were at Kirjathbaal, which is Kirjath Jearim, a city of the children of Judah. This was the west quarter. And the south quarter was from the end of Kirjath Jearim, and the border went out on the west, and went out to the well of waters of Nephtoah.
So you see it's still saying that that's the city of the children of Judah. They sent the ark of the Lord to the children of Judah. Kiriath Jearim is the land of Judah. But now, watch this, verse 28.
Verse 28. And Zelah, Elah, and Jebusi, which is Jerusalem, Gibeath, and Kirjath, 14 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the children of Benjamin, according to their family.
So it's also because it was the border. It was one of the bordering cities, and it was also making reference to the fact that Benjamin was also in that land. So he sent the ark of the Lord to Kiriath Jearim, which is the inheritance of Judah, which was a border right next to Benjamin, showing that Benjamin and Judah, they both go up toward near that border and near that land. So let's go back. 1 Samuel chapter 7 and 1.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1. And the men of Kiriath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord, and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord.
Right.
And it came to pass, while the ark abode in Kiriath Jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, If ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods of Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only. And he will deliver you out of the land of the Philistines.
Out of the what?
The land of the Philistines.
Out of the what?
The land
the
of
hand.
the hand of the Philistines.
So in verse 3 it says, and Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, if ye do return to the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtoreth. So Ashtoreth is where you get the pagan worship Easter from. Ashtoreth. Ashtoreth is also known in scriptures as the Queen Mother of Heaven. Our forefathers used to worship her. Let's actually dig into that for a second. Dig into Ashtoreth and why he's saying put away this strange god. Let's get Jeremiah 7. Jeremiah 7, start at verse 18.
Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 18. The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire.
So it said the children gather the wood, and the fathers kindle the fire. Read.
And the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
What did they do?
Make cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
It says they would make cakes to the Queen Mother of Heaven. Like, for example, these pagan days, they always have a big, huge feast and a big celebration. Women making cakes, they making pies, they cooking every piece of ham they got at the market. It's the same thing from back in this time period. Let's read that again.
Verse 18. The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven,
Mhm.
and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods,
Right.
that they may provoke me to anger.
That they may provoke the Lord to anger. And this is why we was in this state of mourning as we read Samuel. Let's go back. 3 again.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 3. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, If ye do return unto the Lord with all your heart, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines.
Mhm.
Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth, and serve the Lord only. And Samuel said, Gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray for you unto the Lord.
So Mizpah, let's see who land that was. Let's get Joshua 15. Joshua 15, let's read verse 1.
Joshua chapter 15, verse 1. This then was the lot of the tribe of the children of Judah by their families.
Children of who?
Of Judah.
Now, so we're dealing with the lot of the children of Judah. Now let's get verse 38.
Verse 38. And Gilead and Mizpah.
And what?
Mizpah
Uh-huh.
and Joktheel.
All of this is dealing with Judah's land still. From verse 1 all the way to verse 38 is dealing with the land of Judah. So we know Mizpah is a city or a village of Judah. Let's go back. Verse 5.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 5. And Samuel said, Gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray for you unto the Lord.
So gather everybody into one of the cities of Judah, and then Samuel said, I'm going to come and I'm going to pray for you all. Read on.
And they gathered together to Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said there, We have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpah, the Lord of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines.
Right.
And the children of Israel said to Samuel, Cease not to cry unto the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. And Samuel took a sucking lamb and offered it for a burnt offering, holy unto the Lord. And Samuel cried unto the Lord for Israel, and the Lord heard him. And as Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel.
So the Philistines, they came up to fight against the children of Israel, who were in a state of mourning. Our forefathers, they were mourning. And Samuel was judging us, telling us to put away the strange gods. They were shameful. And while this was taking place, now you got the Philistines coming up to make war against Israel. And the Lord was with us. The Lord thundered upon them. He made them uncomfortable. And then they were smitten before us in battle. This was always the Lord's plan for us. Let's actually get that in Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28, let's start at verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass that thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So now, let's examine this. Now, let's get verse 7.
Verse 7. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face.
To be what?
Be smitten before thy face.
It was always the Lord. There is no equality in this Bible. There is no multicultural God. There is no multicultural with the children of Israel. The Lord said, keep these commandments. I'm going to cause you to whoop on everybody who come against you. Everybody going to be smitten before you in battle. Let's read that again.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 7. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way.
They shall come out against thee one way, meaning the whole army, they walk together against you in ranks. And then read on.
And flee before thee 7 ways.
And then it's every man for himself when Israel start whooping on them. It's going to be every man for himself. They shall flee 7 ways. They marched out with their army one way in ranks. And then what? They start getting put to death. And then they flee 7 ways, meaning every man for himself out of terrible fear. Let's go back. All right, go ahead.
No.
Yep.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 9. And Samuel took a sucking lamb and offered it for a burnt offering holy unto the Lord. And Samuel cried unto the Lord for Israel, and the Lord heard him. And Samuel was offering up the burnt offering. The Philistines drew near to battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, and discomfited them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah, and pursued the Philistines, and smote them until they came under Bethkar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shin, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, Hitherto hath the Lord helped us. So the Philistines were subdued.
Because the word Ebenezer means stone of help. Ebenezer means stone of help in Hebrew. So it says that then Samuel took a stone after the great deliverance when we smote the Philistines. It says, and he put it between Mizpah and Shin and called the name of it Ebenezer, meaning stone of help, because the Lord helped us. Read on.
Verse 13. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. And the cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel. From Ekron even unto Gath, and the coast thereof did Israel deliver out of the hands of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mizpah, and judged Israel in all those places.
So it says Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. So Samuel was just wonderful during that time period. Samuel was much needed. Let's actually get that in Sirach real quick about Samuel's record in the Bible. Let's get Sirach chapter 46. Sirach 46 and verse 13.
Sirach chapter 46, verse 13. Samuel, the prophet of the Lord.
Who?
The prophet of the Lord. Beloved of his Lord.
It said that Samuel was beloved of his Lord. Samuel was beloved of the Most High. Read on.
Established a kingdom and anointed princes over his people.
Read on.
By the law of the Lord he judged the congregation, and the Lord had respect unto Jacob.
So during that time period, the Lord was listening to Samuel. Remember, Samuel prayed for Israel when the Philistines were coming. Israel was afraid. Samuel offered a burnt offering holy unto the Lord. And guess what? The Philistines got smitten before their enemies. We jack their behinds up, make them flee 7 ways before us. That's because it says the law of the Lord, he judged the congregation, and the Lord had respect unto Jacob. The Lord was living with us on an intimate level during that time period. Read on.
Verse 15. By his faithfulness he was found a true prophet.
It says by Samuel's faithfulness was Samuel found a true prophet. Read on.
By his word he was known to be faithful in vision.
And remember, the Lord had revealed to Samuel that he was going to judge the house of Eli. And what happened to the house of Eli? They got judged. Hophni got put to death. Phinehas got put to death. Their father Eli got put to death. The same way the Lord said it. So it says that and by his word he was known to be faithful in vision. Read on.
Verse 16. He called upon the mighty Lord.
Just like what we just read in the history. Samuel called upon the Lord. Read.
When his enemies pressed upon him on every side.
Read.
When he offered the sucking lamb.
Which is what we just read. He offered the whole lamb fully. Come on.
And the Lord thundered from heaven, and with a great noise made his voice to be heard. And he destroyed the rulers of the Syrians, and all the princes of the Philistines.
Read.
And before his long sleep he made protestations in the sight of the Lord, and is anointed. I have not taken any man's good so much as a shoe, and no man did accuse him. And after his death he prophesied, and showed the king his end, and lifted up his voice from the earth in prophecy, to blot out the wickedness of the people.
So let's go back. So that's Samuel's memorial. And it's true, we gotta remember what's our memorial going to be. Samuel got a great memorial. We should all be striving to leave a good name with the Lord and with men. So now, read 15 again.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 15. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel.
Bethel, the word Bethel is Hebrew for house of God. That's what Bethel means.
And Gilgal, and Mizpah,
and Gilgal. So let's deal with Bethel first, and how we got the name Bethel. Let's get Genesis real quick. Deal with Bethel. Let's get Genesis chapter 28, and let's read verse 19. Start at verse 18.
Genesis chapter 28, verse 18. And Jacob rose up early in the morning, and took the stone that he had put for his pillow, and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel.
What do you call it?
Bethel. But the name of that city was called Luz at the first.
So the city Luz, our forefather Jacob is the one who gave it the name Bethel, meaning house of God. Read on.
Verse 19.
That was it. That was the one. So let's go back. So it was called Bethel. Also, actually, let's get Genesis 35 now. Jacob called the city of Luz Bethel, meaning house of God. Now let's get Genesis 35, and I start at verse 6.
Genesis chapter 35, verse 6. So Jacob came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is Bethel.
Right.
He and all the people that were with him. And he built there an altar and called the place El Bethel.
That is the God of Bethel. Read on.
Because their God appeared unto him when he fled from the face of his brother.
Now let's go back. So Bethel has some significance in history with that land. That was the land where Jacob was at. He anointed the rock that he had made for a pillow. And then he set up an altar there because that was where the angel appeared to Jacob. Read 16.
Verse 16. 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 16. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal.
And Gilgal. Let's deal with Gilgal real quick. Let's get Joshua 4. Joshua 4, verse 19.
Joshua chapter 4, verse 19. And the people came up out of Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and encamped in Gilgal, in the east border of Jericho.
In the east border of Jericho, read.
And those 12 stones which they took out of Jordan did Joshua pitch in Gilgal.
And the 12 stones were pitched in Gilgal. So guess what? Gilgal also has some historical reference to it also. Things that we should remember about Gilgal also. Let's go back.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 16. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal.
So y'all got to understand when we were set up. Samuel was going in the circuit. Samuel wasn't just going about what he pleased. He was judging Israel in a circuit. He would go from this city for a period of time to that city for a period of time to that city. That's what you call decency and order. And judging Israel, he went from this city to that city to that city every year in a circuit, meaning it was order. It was a plan behind it. Read on.
And Mizpah, and judged Israel in all those places. And his return was to Ramah.
To where?
Ramah.
Let's deal with Ramah. Let's get Joshua 18. What is Ramah? Joshua 18. Joshua 19. Joshua 19. And read verse 24.
Joshua chapter 19, verse 24. And the fifth lot came out for the tribe of the children of Asher.
So we're dealing with the tribe of the children of Asher. Read on.
According to their families. And their border.
So we know we're dealing with Asher's land. Verse 29.
Verse 29. And then the coast turneth to Ramah.
To where?
Ramah. And to the strong city, Tyre.
So Ramah belonged to the children of Asher. Ramah belonged to the children of Asher. So let's go back. So he would go from Bethel to Gilgal on the circuit, and then he will also go to Ramah, which is the land of the children of Asher. He would judge Israel throughout those lands in that time period. Verse 17.
1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 17. And his return was to Ramah, for there was his house.
His house was there. We know Samuel was Levi, but his house was where? His house was in Ramah, which was the inheritance of the children of Asher. Great.
And there he judged Israel. And there he built an altar unto the Lord.
Chapter 8.
First Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel.
So now Samuel is getting old. He made his sons judges over Israel. What?
Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba.
Beersheba. Whose land is it? Let's get Joshua 19. Beersheba. Let's get Joshua 19. And let's read verse 1.
Joshua chapter 19, verse 1. And the second lot came forth to Simeon.
So now we're dealing with Simeon and Simeon's land or lots. Read on.
Even the tribe of the children of Simeon, according to their families, and their inheritance was within the inheritance of the children of Judah.
So Simeon's inheritance was within Judah's inheritance. Because remember, when we got our land, we had too much land. We had to give some of it away. You know, the Lord loved Judah with all his heart. You know, we love you other tribes too, but the Lord loved Judah like crazy. So Judah ended up getting too much land. Judah had more land than he can deal with. So Simeon ended up getting some of our land because we just had too much. I'll read that verse again.
Joshua 19 and 1. And the second lot came forth to Simeon, even for the tribe of the children of Simeon, according to their families. And their inheritance was within the inheritance of the children of Judah.
So read verse 2.
Verse 2. And they had in their inheritance Beersheba.
So Beersheba was part of Simeon's inheritance. Beersheba was Simeon's inheritance, which was within the lot of the children of Judah. Why? Read verse 9. I'm sharing real quick, just because y'all think I'm making this up. Read verse 9.
Verse 9. Out of the portion of the children of Judah was the inheritance of the children of Simeon.
So Simeon's portion, they was eating off of our plate. Read on.
For the part of the children of Judah was too much for them.
Because Judah, we had too much. We started giving it away. Read on.
Therefore, the children of Simeon had their inheritance within the inheritance of them.
So their inheritance was inside our inheritance. We had too much to do. We had more land than we could use. So let's go back. So now it says, now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba, which is the lot of Simeon inside of Judah. All right, let's read on.
1 Samuel 8, verse 3. And his sons walked not in his ways.
What did it say?
His sons walked not in his ways.
But guess what? Samuel's sons didn't walk not in his ways. Read on.
But turned aside after lucre and took bribes.
They took bribes. These is Levitical priests. They took bribes though. Read on.
And perverted judgment.
And perverted judgment. So now, what this sounds very, very familiar. Let's get 1 Samuel. Let's get 1 Samuel chapter 2. And let's read verse 11.
1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 11.
Because that sounds very, very familiar. Samuel's sons walked not in the ways of the Lord, but they was wicked. That sounds familiar. Let's deal with who raised Samuel. Samuel was raised by Eli. Let's deal with Eli. Read that.
And Elkanah went to Ramah to his house, and the child did minister unto the Lord before Eli the priest.
Read.
Verse 12. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial.
I say the sons of Eli were sons of Belial, the devil. You know.
They knew not the Lord.
Eli's sons didn't know the Lord. So the man who raised Samuel and brought him up in righteousness, that man himself, his sons did not know the Lord. They were wicked as hell. Let's deal with what they was doing. Jump down to verse just read on.
Verse
13.
And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came, while the flesh was in seething, with a flesh book of 3 teeth in his hand. And he struck it into the pan, or kettle, or cauldron, or pot. All that the flesh hook brought up, the priest took for himself.
So that was the custom. When the flesh was in seething or boiling, they would drop in a hook, and then what came up, that belonged to the priest. That was the custom. But watch what these brothers was doing. Read.
So they did in Shiloh unto all the Israelites that came thither. Also before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed, Give flesh to roast for the priest, for he will not have sodden flesh of thee, but raw. And if any man said unto him, Let them not fail to burn the fat presently, and then take as much as thy soul desireth, then he would answer him, Nay, but thou shalt give it me now, and if not, I will take it by force.
These brothers were saying, look, man, you're going to give me what I want. I don't care about God's laws. Listen, just give it to me now. I want it the way I want it, not according to the law, or I'm going to take it from you by force. That was extortion. That was violence. Read on.
Verse 17. Wherefore the sin of the young men was very great before the Lord, for men abhorred the offering of the Lord.
They hated going to sacrifice because they knew that Hophni and Phinehas, the sons of Eli, were wicked as hell. And they was going to extort them and take the offering from them and not deal righteously with it. Let's jump over to verse 22. Let's see what else these brothers are doing. Now, I'm just showing y'all the parallel between Samuel's sons and Eli's sons. Verse 22.
1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 22. Now Eli was very old, and heard all that his sons did unto all Israel, and how they lay with the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So you got daughters of Zion, they going to Hophni and Phinehas to sacrifice for their sins, right? Hophni and Phinehas sleeping with them. They were wicked as hell, man. Wicked as hell. That's why we gotta be mindful today. These things written aforetime was written for our learning. So guess what? These brothers had fringes on too. These brothers had big beards too. These brothers was raised in the truth. They didn't know no other truth. But guess what? They were the devil the Bible speaks of. So just be mindful of that. Let's go back. 1 Samuel 8 and verse 3.
1 Samuel 8, verse 3. And his sons walked not in his ways.
So Samuel's sons walked not in his ways. Come on.
But turned aside after lucre.
Lucre means what? Money. Money. Real quick. Let's get Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 7. Ecclesiastes 7, verse 7.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Oppression makes a wise man mad. We know that. Read on.
And a gift destroyeth the heart.
And a what?
A gift destroyeth the heart.
It says, and a gift destroyeth the heart. And a gift destroyeth the heart. Let's get Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy 16 now, in verse 19. Because these brothers are taking lucre, meaning money, bribes, and these brothers, they perverted judgment. 1 Samuel 8 and 3 says, his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre and took bribes and perverted judgment. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 19.
Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 19.
Let's read the law now.
Thou shalt not wrest judgment.
You shall not wrest judgment. Don't give improper judgment. Don't give your own judgment. You know.
Thou shalt not respect persons.
Don't respect persons. Don't judge him a certain way because he's poor, and then judge him a certain way because he's rich. Read on.
Neither take a gift.
Neither take a gift. Lucre. You understand? Bribes. Read on.
For a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise.
Because when you take in gifts, you don't give the proper judgment anymore. If this person always giving you gifts, you won't give them the correct judgment. Why? Because you don't want them to stop giving you gifts. So they'll destroy your mind. They'll destroy your understanding. You'll do things contrary to the scriptures. You get a spirit of hatred for that brother because correction is love. But you would stop correcting him for a gift. Read on. For a gift in 19.
For a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous.
It says, and it perverts the words of the righteous, meaning what? It stopped them from correcting properly because you always giving them things. So now let's go back. Verse 3.
1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 3. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways.
He said, thy sons walk not in thy ways, because we know Samuel had a great name. Samuel to this day has a great memorial. The Lord uses Samuel as an example of righteousness in the scriptures. Let's actually get that. Let's get Ezekiel. The Lord uses Samuel as an example of righteousness. We're going to prove that to you. And also, I want y'all to understand that some of our children are going to be wicked. And if they wicked, hey, to hell with them. Either you're going to repent. A lot of our children are going to be raised in this truth. And then when they become of age, they're going to have to make a decision. When they make the decision not to follow the Lord, with that, we say shalom. So now let's get Ezekiel chapter 14. And let's read verse, this one I want. No, I want Ezekiel 18. Ezekiel 18. That's the one that mentioned Samuel. Ezekiel 18 and let me see. Let's see. Give me a second, Israel. The Lord uses Samuel as a oh, I got it. It's in Jeremiah. I want something different in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 15. I apologize. Jeremiah 15 and verse 1.
Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 1. Then said the Lord unto me,
Mhm.
though Moses and Samuel stood before me.
So it says the Lord is telling Jeremiah, he prophesying against the nation of Israel. He prophesying something that we all need to understand within ourselves. It says, though Moses, who was what? Real quick, hold up. What did the Lord think about Moses? Let's get Numbers 2. Because y'all got to understand the severity of the Most High name dropping. Most High's name dropping for a reason. Let's get Numbers chapter 12. And let's read verse 7.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 7.
Let's get Moses' memorial in the scriptures.
My servant Moses is not so.
The Lord said, my servant Moses is not so. He's not like everybody else. Read on.
Who is faithful in all mine house.
Moses is faithful in all God's house. Read on.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth.
God said with Moses, I'm going to speak to him mouth to mouth. Read on.
Even apparently, and not in dark speeches.
Mhm.
And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold.
And Moses, he going to be able to behold the similitude of the Lord. How many men can boast that they beheld the similitude of the Lord? I don't know any. But read on.
Wherefore, then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
It says you were not afraid to speak against him. The Lord said, don't you even murmur against him. Don't you even whisper about Moses. The Lord truly loved Moses. And guess what? He's speaking about Samuel in the same breath that he's speaking about Moses in Jeremiah 15, showing that what these men are examples of righteousness. So let's read Jeremiah 15 again. We can drop numbers. Then let's get Jeremiah 15, and we're going right back to 7. Go ahead. Jeremiah 15, verse 1.
Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 1. Then said the Lord unto me, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight, and let them go forth. So
the Lord said, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, in other words, stood before me in what? In righteousness and perfection. They was in the spirit. But he said, the rest of Israel, man, we got some work to do. We got some wood to chop. The Lord said, the rest of y'all, we got to get ourselves together. But the Lord is using him as an example of righteousness. But guess what happened? His sons were wicked. But that don't mean Samuel didn't do all he could. The Lord didn't fault Samuel. Let's get 1 Samuel 8 and then read 5.
1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 5. And said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
Like what?
Like all the nations.
So Samuel getting old now, right? So they said, make us a king to judge us. Make us a king to judge us like all the nations. Israel from a youth, from a long time ago up until this very day, we have always been worrying about what the other nations are doing. That's why God, Proverbs 3:31. This is what God gave us this commandment. Right? Proverbs 3:31. This has always got us in trouble. Proverbs 3:31.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
Read it again.
Envy thou not the oppressor.
Envy thou not your oppressor. Because the other nations, they oppress us. All the other nations have oppressors at one point in time or another. But we wanted to be like them. We want to mirror our oppressors. Read that again.
Proverbs 3:31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
That's all I want on that. So let's go back. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. We were saying, we did the exact opposite. We said, Lord, we want a king now. Samuel, you getting old. Your children, they're not going to be nothing like you. They're not going to be fit to be rulers over us. So, man, Samuel, you got the Spirit of the Lord upon you. Anoint us a king so we may have a king just like Esau got a king. You know, we might have a king the way the Philistines have a king. So we have a king the way the Ethiopians got a king, etc. So now, read 5 again.
1 Samuel 8, verse 5. And said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
God, God knew that we was going to do that from the very beginning. Let's get Deuteronomy 17. The Lord told Moses we was going to do that. Deuteronomy 17. Deuteronomy 17, verse 14.
Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me.
What was the Lord told us when you get into the land that I got for you, I delivered you from the iron furnace, from the house of bondage. But when you get into the land, guess what you're gonna say? Read it again.
Verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations.
The Lord knew that we had a spirit where we wanted to follow the other nations. We don't want to follow God's law, statutes, and commandments, but we love to follow the other nations. We just envy them, and we got to break that mold. We got to break that. Read. Start from the top of the verse 14.
Verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
So it says, okay, I know y'all gonna be simple, and I know y'all gonna want a king. He told us while we was in the wilderness. He said, look, I know y'all gonna be simple. I know y'all gonna want a king. Listen, y'all gonna set a king over y'all that I'm gonna choose. Meaning what? A man of the Lord who got the Lord's spirit is going to anoint someone. You understand? Read.
One from among thy brethren shall.
And the Lord know Israel simple. The Lord know that we put a heathen over us. The Lord know we love them heathen so much. We would say Edomite and then make an Edomite our king. So he said, somebody from your own people. Somebody from your own people. Because we so simple, we put one of our oppressors and make them king over us. Read that part again.
One from among thy brethren shall thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee.
If God didn't say that, we'd have found the nearest heathen to make him our king. We'd have found the nearest dusty Hamite, and you be king over us. We beseech thee. The Lord know Israel simple, man. That's why he said you cannot put no other nation over you. That would have been the first thing we would have did. Read on.
Which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses.
So then he gave certain stipulations for the king that we were not supposed to have in the first place. But he knew we would desire a king because he knew that we wanted to follow the other nation's customs. So now let's go back. And actually, what I also want to do, hold on, let's go back first. First Samuel. And read that verse again.
1 Samuel chapter 8.
And read verse 6.
Verse 6. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord.
So let's get a reiteration of this in the New Testament. Let's get Acts. Let's get Acts 13. Acts 13, verse 17.
Acts chapter 13, verse 17. The God of this people of Israel chose our fathers.
The God of this people of Israel chose our fathers. The Bible is always about a certain people. This is just a footnote. The Bible is always reaffirming and affirming that the Lord deals with one group of people. This is the New Testament, right? This is after Christ's resurrection. Ain't nothing changed. Read that verse again.
Verse 17. The God of this people of Israel chose our fathers and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt, and with an high arm brought he them out of it.
So the Lord delivered us out of Egypt with a high arm. Read.
And about the time of 40 years suffered he their manners in the wilderness. And when he had destroyed 7 nations in the land of Canaan, he divided their land to them by lot. And after that he gave unto them judges about the space of 450 years. until Samuel the prophet.
Until Samuel the prophet. Read on.
And afterward they desired a
And
king,
then after Samuel, what we read now, they desired a king. Read.
and God gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis,
Mhm.
a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years.
So now let's go back.
1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 6.
Mhm.
But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee.
So Samuel was mad as hell that Israel wanted a king over them. Samuel was mad as hell. The Lord said his heart to him. Just listen. They want a king. Get them a king, man. Read on. Because the Lord knew all things from the get-go. The Lord told Moses they're gonna want a king. Write this down and make sure they don't get a heathen because they simple. Read on.
For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According
God says they have not rejected you, Samuel. The problem, Samuel, is not with you. The problem is they don't want me to reign over them. They would rather a man reign over them. They don't want we do not want the one true God being our king. The one true God was our king. But Israel didn't want the one true God to be their king. They wanted a man over us who what? Subject to carnality. Read.
verse 9. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them.
So the Lord said, hearken to their voice, but make sure you prophesy solemnly. In other words, very seriously against them. Read.
And show them the manner of, of the king that shall reign over them. Verse 10. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you.
Mhm.
He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariot, and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariot.
Mhm.
And he will appoint.
So the Lord told Samuel to prophesy what the king gonna do. They want a king so bad. Show them what manner of king he gonna be. Read on.
Verse 12. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries,
To make sweets. Read.
and to be cooks,
Mhm.
and to be bakers,
Uh-huh.
vineyards, and your olive yard.
Verse 14.
Verse 14. And he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive yard, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. Verse 15. And he will take the tenth of your seed, and of your vineyard, and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants, and your maid servants, and your goodliest young men, and your asses, and put them to his work. And he will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Lord will not hear you in that day.
You see that? Because guess what? Remember, the Lord told Samuel, "It's me who they rejected." Let's get there real quick in 1 Samuel 12. Let's see. Before Israel wanted a king, let's see who our king was. 1 Samuel 12 and 12.
1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 12.
Mhm.
And when ye saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came out against you, ye said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us
Huh?
when the Lord
When
your,
who?
when the Lord your God was your king.
It says the Lord our God was our king. But we don't want the Lord our God to be our king. We want a man of Israel to be our king. Let's go back. Read verse 18.
1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 8, verse 18.
Mhm.
And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you.
Mhm.
And the Lord will not hear you in that day.
So let's get a time in history where this was fulfilled, where we cried out because of the king that was over us. Let's get 1 Kings chapter 12. Let's get some history in there. 1 Kings 12, sorry, verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 12, verse 1.
Let's deal with one of the kings that was over Israel. Let's see Israel crying out. Read.
And Rehoboam went to Shechem.
So Rehoboam was who? It was Solomon's son. Rehoboam. Read.
went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And
So
it,
now, read verse 4.
verse
So all Israel going to Shechem to make King Solomon's son Rehoboam king over all Israel. This before the kingdom split. Listen to what Israel said to him. Verse 4.
Thy father made our yoke grief. Thy father made our yoke grievous.
They told him, listen, Rehoboam, your father, King Solomon, made our yoke grievous. He made us slaves. He put hard bondage on us. He had us building all kind of stuff. They said, your father made our yoke grievous. Read.
Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father.
Therefore what?
Therefore,
Now therefore.
now therefore, make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee.
So now, they said, listen, if you make our yoke lighter and we'll serve you. Rehoboam could have been all over 12 tribes, just like his father Solomon was, just like his father David was. He had an opportunity to be over all 12 tribes. They pleaded with him. They said, just make our yoke lighter. So what they doing? They crying out by reason of that hard yoke that was upon them. It's like the Lord told them was going to happen. These kings are not going to care about y'all the way I care about y'all. But listen to what he said. They asking him to make the yoke lighter. Listen to what he said to them. Let's jump over to verse 11.
Verse 11. And now whereas my father did lay you with a heavy yoke.
He said, you know what, my father, he laid y'all with a heavy yoke. Read on.
I will add to your yoke.
He says, I'm going to add to your yoke. Read on.
My father hath chastised you with whips.
My father, he corrected y'all with whips. Read on.
But I will chastise you with scorpions.
But I'm going to chastise you with, he had the devil on. But the Lord warned us. The Lord warned us these kings will not have our best interest. But the Lord had our best interest. The Lord is not corrupted. The Lord is not a man that he should be subject to sin, or a man that he should lie. The Lord had our best interest, but we do not want the Lord ruling over us. Let's go back.
1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 19. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles.
You hear this nonsense? Read on.
And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man a city.
Chapter 9.
1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 1. Now there was a man of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechra, the son of Aphiah, and a Benjamin, a mighty man of, and he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man, and a goodly, and there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward, he was higher than any of the people.
So Saul was tall, Saul was mighty, Saul was handsome. Read on.
Verse 3. And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said to Saul his son, Take now one of the servants with thee, and arise, go seek the asses.
So one of the donkeys of Saul's father Kish went astray. And now Saul's father Kish told him, go seek the donkey, go seek the ass. Read on.
Verse 4. And he passed through Mount Ephraim, and Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they found them not. Then they passed through the land of Shalim, and there they were not.
So they went from one city to another looking for the donkeys. Read on.
And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they found them not. Verse 5. And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, Come, and let us return.
So now this whole scenario is of the Lord, because guess what's going on? Samuel and the Lord are speaking with one another, and the Lord tells Samuel, hearken to Israel and make them a king. So now just so happens that one of Kish's, which is Saul's father, donkey come up missing. So now he sends Saul to seek the donkey. All this is of the Lord. Everything is known as of the Lord, because now what has happened? He ended up in the land of Zuph. But what's the significance of the land of Zuph? Let's get First Chronicles. First Chronicles 6 and verse 35.
First Chronicles chapter 6, verse 35.
Let's
Let's
read verse 1 first.
Verse 1.
Uh-huh.
The sons of Levi.
The sons of who?
Of Levi.
So First Chronicles 6, we're dealing with the sons of Levi. We know that Samuel was a Levitical priest, right? So now we're dealing with Levi. Let's jump to verse 35.
Verse 35.
Uh-huh.
The son of Zuph.
The son of Zuph. Zuph. Remember, Saul wound it up in Zuph. So now we finding out who Zuph is, who land that is. So it says the son of Zuph, read.
The son of Elkanah.
The son of Elkanah, which was who? That was Samuel's father. Read on.
The son of Mahak.
Uh-huh.
The son of Amasal.
Mm-hmm.
The son of Kai. The son of Joel. The son of Azariah. The son of Zephaniah.
That was all I wanted on that. So showing you what so Saul, let's go back. Saul looking for the ass, he ends up in Zuph. Zuph belongs to who? That's Samuel's grandfather. You understand? And guess who's in that land? Samuel. Guess who has to ordain a king for Israel? Samuel. You understand? So everything that was taking place, it was of the Lord. It wasn't a coincidence that he ended up in Zuph, because Zuph was an inheritance of Saul's family. Of Samuel's family. So let's read on verse 5.
1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 5. And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, Come and let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses and take thought for us.
So just when Saul was about to give up, he said, you know what? Saul told his servant who was with him to aid him. He said, let's just leave before my father start worrying about it. You know.
Verse
6.
Verse 6. And he said unto him, Behold now, there is in this city a man of God.
So he said, behold, in this city of Zuph, which belonged to who? Samuel's family, there is in this city a man of God. Wasn't a coincidence. You know.
And he is an honorable man. All that he saith cometh surely to pass.
All that Samuel said surely cometh to pass. Come on.
Now let us go thither. Peradventure, he can show us our way that we should go.
Read.
Verse 7. Then said Saul to his servant, But behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again and said, Behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of silver that will give to the man of God. That will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. Before time in Israel, when a man went out to inquire of God, thus he spake, Come and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer.
So that's why a lot of times the Lord will be very repetitive in the Bible. The Lord will say the same thing over and over again, just in case you don't understand. Because guess what? Language changes. Speech changes over time. Slang is added in. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why, like I'm gonna give you an example. Get Isaiah. Because a lot of times, people read the scriptures and it's like the verse is saying the same thing over and over again. Or people wonder what is this part of the verse saying, but the bottom part of the verse might say the same thing that the top of the verse is saying. I'm gonna give you an example. Read Isaiah 30 and verse 11. Isaiah 30 and verse 10.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 10, which say to the seers.
It's talking about rebellious Israel. Our people today, our people back then. Say to the seers, read.
See not. And to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things.
So it says that we have a spirit in us, but we don't want to hear the truth. We say to the seers, see not. We say to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. It's saying the same thing. But for those of you who don't, for the older Israelites, who didn't know what a seer was, who didn't know what a prophet was, he put seer there. And then for those of us who are more familiar with the word prophet and not familiar with the word seer, he put both there. But it's all saying the same thing. It's all giving the same sense. You understand? I'll give you another example. Let's get Isaiah 45. Isaiah 45, verse 4.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 4. For Jacob, my servant's sake.
For Jacob, my servant's sake, read.
And Israel, mine elect.
So Jacob is Israel. Israel ain't got changed to Jacob. But guess what? Maybe you don't know that Jacob's name got changed to Israel. Maybe you never read Genesis 32. So the Lord put both of those to clear up confusion. The Lord is not just repeating the same thing for no reason. The Lord making sure you cannot deny this Bible. You can't say you didn't get the scripture. You can't say you didn't understand. He got it for everybody. So let's go back. Verse 10.
Samuel chapter 9, verse 10. Then said Saul to his servant, Well said, come, let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of God was. And as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, Is the seer here?
So they asked the young woman, is the seer here or is the prophet Samuel here? Read.
Verse 12. And they answered them and said, He is, behold, he is before you, making haste now.
Make haste now.
Make haste now. For he came today to the city. For there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. Verse 13. As soon as ye become into the city, ye shall straightway find him, before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doth bless the sacrifice. And afterwards they eat that be bidden. Now therefore get you up, for about this time ye shall find him.
So the young maiden said, Sam, I know how you can find him. He's gonna be in a high place. He's gonna be sacrificing. He's gonna be blessing the sacrifice. No, Israel will not eat until Samuel gets there, because it's Samuel who blesses the sacrifice. So if you go up to the high place, you'll be able to bump into him. Read
on. Verse 13. As soon as
verse 14.
Verse 14. And they went up into the city, and when they were come into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them, for to go up to the high place. Verse 15. Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, Tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin.
So you heard it said? The Lord sent a man of Benjamin. So the reason why the ass went astray in the first place, the Lord was sending Saul. The Lord was sending Saul. So a lot of times things happen in our life. We gotta remember that the Lord is behind all things. Read.
And thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come up unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, Behold, the man whom I spake to thee of, this same shall reign over my people.
Right.
Then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, Tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is.
So Saul talking to Samuel, and he asking where Samuel is at.
Verse 19. And Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place, for ye shall eat with me today, and tomorrow I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thine heart.
He says, I'm going to tell you everything that's on your mind.
Verse 20. And as for thine asses.
And Samuel said, as for the asses that you're looking for, that you're searching for, that your father Kish sent you to locate, read.
That were lost 3 days ago. Set not thy mind on them, for they are found.
See how the Lord had worked this whole thing out? Read on.
And on whom is all the desire of Israel? Is it not on thee and on all thy father's house? And Saul answered and said, Am not I a Benjamite of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my family the least of all the families of the tribes of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so to me?
Why was Benjamin the smallest tribes of the tribes of Israel? Why was Benjamin the smallest tribe? Let's get Judges 2. Let's see why. Benjamin said that Benjamin was the smallest tribe. Let's find out why that is. Read verse 1.
Judges chapter 20, verse 1. Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead unto the Lord, and Mizpah. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, tell us, how was the wickedness? How was this wickedness?
So what wickedness are they referring to? Real quick, let's jump back to chapter 19 and let's read verse 20. Let's read verse 20.
Judges 19, verse 20. And the old man said, peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet and did eat and drink. Now, as they were making their
So you had an Israelite brother. He was traveling. He was with his concubine, right? Which is a wife of another nation, because during the time of Judges, a lot of Israel was wicked. So as he walking with his concubine, one of the Israelite brothers offered for him to come into his house. He said, I don't want you to have to lodge in the street. Read on.
verse 22. Now, as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city.
So the city that they was in was the city of Benjamin. So as a brother the brother extended from his home to him, he went inside. As they were making themselves merry, the men of the city, read,
certain sons of Belial,
these men were wicked as hell, sons of Belial, in other words, sons of the devil,
beset the house round about,
These men came and surrounded the brother's house. Read.
and beat the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him.
So these brothers wanted to rape this brother. These Benjamites wanted to rape this Israelite brother. They said, man, bring that man out here that we may know him. Read.
Verse 23. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly, seeing that this man is come into mine house. Do not this folly.
So now, read verse 25. So the man said, please don't do this, father. Don't do this foolishness. Do not rape this brother. This is what was going on. Benjamin was tripping. Let's read verse 25.
Verse 25. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine.
So the Israelite brother, he took his concubine, read,
and brought her forth unto them.
So he went to the door. He gave her his heathen wife, because he didn't want. They wanted to know him. So, but he gave them the heathen woman. Read on.
And they knew her.
And they knew her. Read.
And abused her all the night until the morning.
And these men of the city who had surrounded the house, they raped her all night. Read.
And when the day began to spring, they let her go.
So this sister, she died. You understand? So now the children of Israel, let's go back to Judges 20 now. The children of Israel, they wanted to know what took place, what wickedness took place in the land of Benjamin. They wanted to know, fess up, apply Leviticus 5 and 1, tell us who did it and what is going on. That was some extreme wickedness. So now, verse 3. First, Judges 20 and verse 3.
Judges chapter 20, verse 3. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, tell us how was this wickedness?
Tell us how this came about. Tell us how a woman in y'all coast got raped to death. Read.
And the Levite, the husband of the women that was slain.
And it was a Levite who had the heathen wife. You understand? Read.
Answered and said, I came into Gibeah that belongeth to Benjamin.
I came into Gibeah that belongs to Benjamin. Read.
I and my concubine to lodge. And the men of Gibeah rose against me and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me. And my concubine have they forced that she is dead. Verse 6. And I took my concubine and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel.
So the woman got raped to death. He took her up. He took her body and he chopped her up. And he sent her throughout all the coasts of Israel as what? Evidence of what took place. Real.
For they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel.
Lewdness and folly is what took place. Real.
Behold, ye are all children of Israel. Give here your advice and counsel.
Mhm.
Verse 8. And all the people arose as one man, saying, We will not any of us go to his tent, neither will we any of us turn into his house.
Mhm.
But now this shall be the thing which we shall do to Gibeah. We shall go up by the lot against it,
Mhm.
and we will make, and we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000.
So they said we're gonna gather Israel together, and we're gonna go to Benjamin. So now watch this. So let's get verse 12.
Verse 12.
Mhm.
And the tribe of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that is done among you?
So we send brothers to say what wickedness took place in Benjamin. Y'all out of order. Read.
Verse 13. Now therefore deliver us the men,
They said, deliver us the men, come on,
the children of Belial,
the children of Satan, come on,
which are in Gibeah, that we
that we may.
that we may put them to death,
Mhm.
and put away evil from Israel.
But watch this though.
But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren,
Huh?
the children of Israel.
So listen, it says that Benjamin was like, we ain't trying to hear none of that. We don't want to hear it. What y'all want to do? Let's go to war. And that's exactly what took place. Israel started jacking Benjamin up. Judah went out first, and it just went on and on, battle after battle after battle, until what? Let's jump over. um, let's jump to verse 35.
Judges chapter 20, verse 35. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day
Mhm.
25,000 and 100 men. All these drew the sword.
Mhm.
So the children of Benjamin saw that they were slain, for the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto the liars in wait which they had set beside Gibeah.
Mhm. So now, let's jump over to verse 48.
Verse 48. And the man of Israel,
And the men.
and the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city, as the beasts, and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to.
You see that? So the children of Israel, fought against Benjamin to the point where Benjamin was almost driven to extinction. They were almost driven to extinction. Now, real quick, let's get chapter 21 and verse 5. Judges 21 verse 5.
Judges chapter 21, verse 5.
Mhm.
And the children of Israel said, Who is there among all the tribes of Israel that came not up with the congregation unto the Lord? For they had made a great oath concerning him.
Jump up to verse 3.
Verse 3. And said, O Lord, God of Israel, why is this come to pass in Israel, that there should be today one tribe lacking in Israel?
Verse 6.
Verse 6. And the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin their brother.
So the children of Israel, they were sorrowful for Benjamin because Benjamin was getting put to death at an alarming rate due to their own wickedness, because they said, deliver us the men who did it so we can put them to death. Benjamin was like, we ain't delivering y'all nobody. To hell with y'all. Let's go to war. Benjamin was bugging out. So the tribes of Israel put that whooping on them to the point where they're almost driven to extinction. After this is all over with, now Israel is remorseful because Benjamin was almost driven to extinction. So verse 6.
Verse 6. And the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin their brother, and said, There is one tribe cut off from Israel this day.
In other words, there's one tribe that's almost driven to extinction this day. Let's go back to Samuel. So this is what Samuel is making reference to. Samuel, like, I'm from the least tribe of Israel. Because guess what? Benjamin lost a lot of bodies. Benjamin lost a lot of brothers. Samuel 9:21.
First Samuel chapter 9, verse 21. And Saul answered and said, Am not I a Benjamite?
Saul says, am not I a Benjamite? Come on.
of the smallest of the tribes of Israel.
Why they the smallest? Because Israel put that whooping on them during the time of Judges. Read on.
And my family, the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore then speakest thou so to me?
Uh-huh.
And Samuel took Saul and his servant and brought them into the parlor and made them sit while the chiefest place.
They made them sit in the.
I'm sorry. And made them sit in the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. And Samuel said unto the cook, Bring the portion which I gave thee, of which I said unto thee, set it by thee. And the cook took up the shoulder and that which was upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, Behold that which is left, set it before thee and eat. For unto this time hath it been kept for thee, since I said, I have invited the people. So Saul did eat with Samuel that day.
Mhm.
And when they were come down from the high place into the city, Samuel communed with Saul upon the top of the house. And they arose early. And it came to pass about the spring of the day that Samuel called Saul to the top of the house, saying, Up, that I may send thee away. And Saul arose, and they went out both of them, he and Samuel abroad. And as they were going down to the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, Bid the servant pass on before us. And he passed on. But stand thou still a while, that I may show thee the word of God.
So what's going on now? Samuel is getting ready to anoint Saul king over Israel. So Saul is with Samuel right before Samuel is getting ready to anoint him. We're gonna end it right there. Are there any questions pertaining to today's class? All praises, brother Adam. Most time, Christ bless you. Any questions pertaining to today's class, Israel? All right, I'm about to get ready to say shalom. All right, Israel. Well, what's up, brother Sam? Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. All praise to the Most High. All praise. Shalom, Most High in Christ. Bless y'all. I pray y'all have a good. Then Israel sin by requesting a king. As we kind of covered that earlier. Real quick, I'm gonna get Deuteronomy again. Deuteronomy chapter 14. The Lord knew that Israel was gonna do that. Deuteronomy 17. The Lord knew that Israel was gonna be simple. Most High in Christ bless y'all. Most High in Christ bless. The Lord, brother Joachim, the Lord knew that Israel was gonna be simple. Read Deuteronomy 17 and verse 14.
Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 14. Mm-hmm. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about. Mm-hmm. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose.
So he says, you shall set him king over you, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. So what they did, it was very simple. But the Lord actually knew that was going to happen. The Lord knew that Israel would request for a king. So the Lord gave us laws. The Lord was our king. The Lord knew that Israel was not going to want him to be their king. So he had a system in place for that for when that time came. Hope that answers your question. All right. Most High in Christ bless. Like I say, y'all have a good morning. Have a prosperous day. All praise to the Most High, Brother Jonathan. All right. Y'all stand in the spirit. Be strong in the Lord and power of his might. Shalom.